All right, we're back. This is a new SEC podcast, Sugar Bowl preview. Ole Miss versus Georgia, 6 seed versus the 3 seed, 8 p.m. Eastern, New Year's Day evening. It's going to be an incredible matchup. Right now, the line is 6.5 for Georgia and the over-under 55.5. So Vegas is expecting offensive fireworks. Hunter, initial thoughts on this matchup and just overall how you're feeling?
And you can't expect anything but offensive fireworks if you're comparing it anything to the last matchup between these two teams. We've talked about it at length, whether it was during that game, during some of our content that we've been putting out over the past few weeks, getting prepared for this one. It was an offensive game. Ole Miss 5 straight touchdowns to start the game before going scoreless on the final 3 possessions. Georgia didn't leave any points on the field, scored on every single drive of the first matchup. So offensive fireworks is what these teams did last time. They both improved. Georgia definitely defensively has improved since that game, but I see where they're coming from in kind of the lines for this one. But I think this is a good matchup. Our second SEC on SEC matchup of the playoffs.
I'm on record of saying the SEC is an offensive conference, and these are two of the best offenses in the conference. The emergence of Georgia, passing wise, obviously rushing wise. You've seen the graphics. They can run with just about anybody that puts on the red and black. But Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss, newcomer of the year in the SEC, coming off a good game against Tulane. I don't think he's getting his flowers. So let's talk about Chambliss and how he looks in this matchup.
I mean, he's doing his thing like he did it in the first game. He's making really, really good decisions. And his play at Ole Miss has been kind of a continuation of the Ole Miss teams of a few years ago where it's explosive. They are third in the nation for plays over 20 yards because of the different weapons that they have. He's extremely play action heavy. You got a guy back there like Kewan Lacey. You got to keep your eyes on him. But then you have all of these weapons for Ole Miss that Chambliss has gotten really familiar with. Seen Daquan Wright, doing his thing. Deuce Alexander, DeJon Stribling had a good touchdown in the last Georgia game. He's doing really, really well at making the right reads, not making a lot of mistakes. He's had some accuracy problems at times, but behind one of the better O-lines in the nation, he's doing his thing and led his team to this point.
Yeah, he definitely has. And I think there's so many more positives to his game than negatives. I mean, he's only thrown 3 interceptions this year. So I think the lack of pressure he's felt in the pocket has helped him elevate his game. I mean, he's 5th in the country for his QBR, 86.3, 17th in the nation when it comes to yards overall, 3,000 plus yards. He's played a good season, and he's played really well. And then he's proven against good teams, the Oklahoma defenses, the Georgias, that he can play ball up to that level at a high SEC level. Is he ready to perform with the lights on in a single elimination setup? I say yes, but I feel like it's like we're grasping straws here for finding things that he can't do, in my opinion.
Sure. I mean, if you want to find some negatives, there has been some inaccuracies. You saw it in the first matchup on the final 3 drives that led to 3 punts. Some guys were open, put the ball a little bit more inaccurate when he started feeling the pressure. So there was some of that in man coverage where he didn't have the perfect accuracy there. But I mean, truly 19 touchdowns, 3 picks. You got to keep a spy on him. We've seen teams do that. One of their pass rushers will step back a little bit because you can flush him out of the pocket. So it's important to kind of play around his entire game. He's had 12 balls batted at the line. It's a little bit high, but he's able to throw out of the pocket, able to get out on the run. And the lights being too bright or, any conversations or comments around that, it was a 1-score game in Athens against Georgia the last time they played. This is now a neutral site game. All he had to do was get one more good drive going. I mean, they just didn't need to have the poor finish that they did, and he would have won in Athens. Didn't, but it's not like he's that far off.
No, and it's a lot to ask of your offense to have to score more than 40 points, right? The score of the last game was 43-35. D2 transfer quarterback, he putting up 35 points. How many more points do you need? On the other side, you think about for Georgia, their rush defense is really good. And we're really I'm focusing on Ole Miss here because they're coming in the underdog. There's a lot to improve for them. They held Kewan Lacey to 39 rushing yards last time. We still don't know if he's for sure going to play this game between Kewan Lacey and Diggs. How important is this rush defense going to be when facing this really, dual-headed rushing attack? A guy like Lacey, 21 touchdowns, 2nd in the country when it comes to scoring the rock.
They held him to a season low last time they played. Georgia did. Ole Miss is extremely run heavy, 40 and a half, a little over 40 and a half rushing attempts per game, and they got knocked out of their game flow last time they played. And even saw it down near the end of the stretch of the game when nothing else was going. They went with one more running play and he got like 12 or 13 yards. He's such a critical core component of the gameplay that even if it's not really going, you got to stick with that because it's been influential into how much you've opened up the rest of the field, establishing play action, bringing safety coverages down. That's how you get one-on-one matchups where we've seen Georgia be able to be beat in one-on-one matchups. So the run defense for Georgia is extremely important. It completely can take Ole Miss out of their game. If they can't run the ball, I don't think that they're going to be able to just be as pass heavy as they were in the first matchup. Some of those were big plays that broke out when you're trying to drive the ball consistently. Georgia, really good third down defensive team. It's hard to get running first downs on them.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely really, really hard to get running first downs on them, and it's going to be a critical point to their game. I mean, you look at the analytics of this matchup, and you look at, Georgia's rush offense versus Ole Miss's rush defense. It's a very clear mismatch. 14th in the SEC rush defense-wise for Ole Miss. I mean, that's 150-plus yards per game, or about 148 yards per game. Georgia, you talked about how Ole Miss runs the ball 40 and a half times a game. I think Georgia runs the ball, 41.5 times per game?
41.5. They're the only team in the playoff from the full 12-team spread that runs the ball more times per game than Ole Miss, the most in the playoffs, because they have so many guys who can run the ball. They got, Stockton added to the mix. They got a full committee of running backs that have their own unique rushing abilities. They're running the ball a lot, and Ole Miss is having a really hard time stopping it as the season's gone on.
It's tough. It's like I think about it like college football 26. Like if you were to put like a logo underneath these players, like Frazier's like an Adrian Peterson. I'm not saying he's the same player in college, but like he's fast and he can run north and south. You got Bowens. Bowens reminds me a little bit of like a Dalvin Cook. Like he's more kind of north south. Like he can still run outside. You got Josh McCray. He's just a bruiser. Jerome Bettis type. Like everyone, like you said, has their own rushing style. And Cash Jones is just a unique guy as well. Stockton can fall forward and run very, very regularly. It's tough to stop, and Georgia's going to lean on that in this game.
Yeah, and if I had to pick one thing on defense to be better at, I'd almost, and someone can let me know in the comments how they feel about this one. I'd rather be good at stopping the run because of how much that plays into game control. Yep. When you're not able to stop the run, you're losing time off the clock. You're getting worn down from bang plays where more guys on your team are having to get involved as opposed to one-on-one, coverage matchups. It takes the feel out of the stadium, especially in a neutral site game where it's probably going to be pretty heavy Ole Miss. Like they're excited for this game. They're close by to Louisiana where this is being played. Georgia's using their ability to run the ball to control that clock, to take the ball out of the opponent's hands. And, if you can't stop that, then you're going to have to try to outscore. That's what happened in the first game. It was up to Ole Miss to outscore Georgia. And you did it, kept up until you couldn't keep up anymore. And that was partially because if you watch our other Georgia videos, we talked about Georgia makes great defensive adjustments in the second half. So be sure to go watch that where you're breaking down more in depth. But it's an important thing to note that it's hard to stay at that pace the entire game.
It's very hard, right? And Georgia's going to give you 4 quarters, and we talked about it in our keys to the Georgia video around this particular game. Definitely go check that out. But it's adjustments in coaching is another factor in this game, and it's been talked about by multiple media outlets. We know Pete Golding's coaching for Ole Miss. We know that Kirby Smart's on the other side for Georgia. To you, a couple days before the game, how important is coaching going to be adjustments-wise, getting the players psyched up and ready? Just any factors in this game.
Both teams know what they're playing for. And I think that Pete Golding has done a good job in establishing his culture with this team very, very quickly and how he wants this team to be ran, trying to carry that momentum into next season. This is his defense. This is Charlie Weiss's offense. Lane Kiffin, who is kind of how they're speaking on this team. I don't know how much that is really necessarily true when it comes down to the overall scheme, but they're executing themselves. Kirby Smart on the other side, this is business as usual for the Georgia team. You're in the playoffs again. You just go out there and you play your football game as Georgia football. So, I'm sure there's a lot going into this. It has been a long time since Georgia's played, whereas Ole Miss had that tune-up game with Tulane. They were able to get some things going. get some, get the legs back warm. So, you don't want Georgia to come in cold here because we might see it as a little bit of a shootout. So you can't start slow. You're going to have to get those points on every drive.
Definitely can't start slow. And Georgia found themselves in this position last year in the Sugar Bowl. Last year, all 4 of the higher ranked teams lost in the second round. We'll see if that's the case this year. I'm not trying to foreshadow anything, but it's interesting what maybe having time off can do. I think this season's more properly seeded with the new format, with the right teams, and they weren't getting matched up with a really good Notre Dame team right in the second round, a Notre Dame team that made the championship. But we've talked about Stockton, we've talked about the rushing attack with Kawan Lacey. I mean, obviously second in the country in touchdowns. We talked about Chambliss last game. He had 2 touchdowns in the ground and 1 in the air against Georgia. Any final keys for Ole Miss to take the win in this game, or final keys for Georgia to take the win in this game that you see here?
Yeah, I mean, we've broken down in other videos, not to just rehash the same points. Georgia is getting much better at man coverage. Their DBs are playing better and better. The safeties overall, they're going to match up a little bit better with Ole Miss one-on-one. Where I see a key here in this game, a key part to look at, Trinidad Chambliss loves attacking the intermediate center of the field. 7 yards to 15 yards is kind of his prime time spot, attacking the center of the field. He's got a big tight end that plays into that. Georgia, very, very good at defending that part of the field. They did it really, really great in the first matchup. So as we look into this one, what I'm going to be keeping my eye on is how Georgia looks to take that away from him, force him to play a little bit of a wider game now that they're trusting their DBs a little bit more in one-on-one coverage with a DeJon Stribling, with a Deuce Alexander, and taking that center away and challenging Chambliss's arm to make those plays out wide. So I'm going to keep an eye on that.
It'll definitely be interesting to see, especially how he uses Deuce Alexander and all the other guys in the receiving core. You got to play, like you said, to the position to put these players in areas that are not proven to be their strong suit. And for this case, it's Chambliss throwing to the outside. I don't think many teams have been able to get Gunnar Stockton off his game. Is there anything that you think Ole Miss can do in this game to get him off his game to have the best chance to win this matchup?
Yeah, and I said this in another one of our videos. It's how do you challenge him on third to convert third and long. Georgia doesn't find themselves in third down situations very long, and when they do, it's third and extremely short. They don't have a whole lot of experience on the season converting, or success on the season converting 3rd and 10, 3rd 11, 3rd and 8. If you, as Ole Miss defensively, can challenge them on first down, challenge them on second down, that's where the game gets a little bit different. Now, it's a whole different ball game when you get down to the other side of the field, because Georgia's really good, within 30, 40 yards of the end zone, boot plays, getting tight ends involved. But if you can get them to third down, then you can start maybe trying to exploit a weakness here, which is experience in converting third downs.
Yeah. And and it's going to be crucial, right? And I think that's kind of what is important in these type of matchups, getting them off the field, getting them in third downs. They have a good kicker. So if they're getting in the third down, fourth down situations on their side of the field, Georgia can put points on the board. Like it's something that has been a challenge for not Oklahoma, for Alabama and other playoff teams. Not necessarily the case for Georgia, but that is going to be your key to taking drives, having them, instead of being for 7, for 3, or better yet, 0 points. So it'll be interesting to see overall.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. I think that there's a lot of talk about Georgia. Ole Miss doesn't have a chance. It was a very, very close game the first time they played. Just a couple things didn't go right. Ole Miss got knocked out of their game, the game that they want to play. Georgia's still looking even better defensively. The pass rush is getting much, much improved from that point. I think this one goes down to the wire. Ultimately here, I'm going to take Ole Miss 30-27 in overtime.
Okay. Some overtime playoff football. That would make me extremely happy to see. I will say the last playoff game of the quarterfinals that night, that would be really fun to see. Yeah. I think if we had to power rank these teams, and I think the reason why teams or people are so high on Georgia is like they've looked really, really impressive. Yeah. And it's not to say that Ole Miss hasn't. They haven't had as many at-bats against good teams of late to look as impressive. The Tulanes, the Mississippi States. People kind of forget the part of the season where they played Oklahoma, the part of the season where they played some of these other top teams in the conference. I think it's close too. I think that Georgia's playing better football. I'm going to say 28-20 Georgia. I think it'll be close, but I do think that Ole Miss can hang in this game, and the coaching is a non-factor. I think Georgia just takes the edge here when it comes to finding themselves in the win column.
Yeah, another 8-point game. I mean, it's what we saw the last time. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good matchup. I think people are ready. Some people are looking at Ole Miss and kind of counting them out for some certain things. Not saying you, but people have been really ready to say Chambliss, this, that, the other. The coaching is going to impact them. So it'll be interesting to see how it actually plays out on the field in a second matchup. First game was really, really good, really fun to watch. Excited to see this one. Winner will go on to play the winner of the Miami-Ohio State game. So it's not like it's an easy road ahead from this one. This is just one stepping stone to the national championship.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this rematch, and a lot of people, for the narratives, you gotta have one team blow another team out, or these two teams don't match up well. Look, these are the two best teams in the SEC right now, record-wise. They're both 12-1, like 12-1. These are good teams.
Mm-hmm.
You put Ole Miss in the other half of the bracket. I think they give Oregon a game. I think they give Texas Tech a game. Georgia's the hottest team in the country right now. Point blank. Period.
If you like SEC football content, like college football content at all, be sure to like this video, subscribe so you find more of our stuff as we continue to post and talk these teams throughout the playoffs, through the off season, end of season, grading these teams, transfer portal. We're going to be talking it all, so don't miss it. I'm Hunter Ziesman here with Randall Ledet Jr. Looking forward to these playoff games. And until next time.